Welcome back to the Creating Resilience video series. This is number 7 in our video series. We're going to continue to talk about caregiver reflection and regulation. I want to start with you doing a short reflection right now. I want you to think about, as you are either sitting or walking or driving in the car maybe, watching this video, where are you in the car right now? Where are you in your brain? Hopefully you're not in your trunk, but are you in your back seat or are you in your front seat? So you can pause the video if you want to and think about that, or maybe you know right away. But where are you in the car? It's a great practice to have and to do this throughout the day and just kind of check on yourself. Where are you? We're going to be talking about buttons today and the importance of buttons. Buttons are things that move us from the front seat to the emotional back seat. Triggers are things that move us from the front seat all the way back to the trunk. But buttons are things that just get us a little bit more emotional than we were before and might put us into that emotional state of our brain where we're not in complete control of where that car is going. Buttons can happen internally and externally, and we're going to start with internal buttons. Sometimes we have things going on inside our body that create a more emotional response in us than if it wasn't going on inside our body. So I want you to pause this video for a moment or think about some things that might be occurring within your body that might push you back in your brain just a little bit to that back seat. When I talk to people about this, we can often put things that they say into the acronym HALT. And HALT stands for this. H is hungry. Hungry means that there's some body system in need. You might be hungry, you might be thirsty, you might be really cold or really hot. It's a body system that is wanting something to shift and change in the environment so it's more comfortable. A stands for angry or any other emotion. So that makes sense, right? If we're in the back seat, we have a heightened emotion. L stands for lonely. Lonely that you may not feel like you have friends, but sometimes lonely is feeling a lack of support at work or even at home. Maybe you just need people to connect with you and help you through some experience or some chore or something like that. So L's is for lonely. And T is for tired. Again, it's another body system, but this is a body system that's hurting somehow. So you're tired, or you might have pain somewhere, or something like that. I know that when I get really tired at night, I'll tell my husband, I am toddler tired. And when I am toddler tired, that means that don't talk to me. There's no reasoning going on here. I just need to go to sleep. These are some internal buttons that might cause us to react from that back seat. We can also have external buttons, and it's really important to also know your external buttons. I didn't really think a lot about this until recently when I was working with a group of teachers, and I asked them to identify their internal and external buttons, and they hadn't really thought about it before. So it is something that might be lingering in the back of our brain for awareness, but I want to bring it more to the forefront. Think about things in the environment, things other people might say or do that might push you into that back seat. Again, feel free to pause the video and actually do that. Or if you're watching it with someone else, share what you think some of your external buttons might be. I will share with you some that I have heard as I travel across the country training. And one is disrespect. Whether somebody's disrespecting you or you're watching disrespect between two other people. Arguing. That's a big one. Arguing and aggression. Not only if somebody's arguing or being aggressive towards us, but sometimes just being around other people that are arguing or being aggressive, that can send us to our back seat. For me, one is lying. I just really believe in honesty. So when I see somebody lying to someone else, or I know they're lying to me, that definitely pushes me into my emotional state in the back seat. Sometimes watching other people blame, they're not taking responsibility for what they're doing. Instead, they're just blaming other people rather than really being able to think about themselves and where their responsibility might lie. Tattling is a big one, especially if you've worked with young children, but adults do it too. Tattling is really just making sure that everybody knows that that person over there just broke the rules. Whining is one of my big buttons. I used to work in a school where there's a little girl, and all the time she talked like this. She couldn't ask for anything without whining. And I made sure if I was going to have to interact with her for a long time, that I had another support teacher there. And if it pushed me in my back seat too much, I could walk away for a little bit and that other teacher would be there to help her. That's a really important thing about buttons, is making sure other people know them. Interrupting can be a button. You're trying to get your point across or somebody else is, and a third person is interrupting all the time. Even excessive silliness. I know as being a mom, when my kids were little, I had two very energetic boys, and sometimes I was really trying to get something done, get them to help me do some chores around the house, and they were just being silly. And sometimes that would send me into my back seat. Also, just people not participating, not engaging with you, not helping you, not being a part of a work project at home or at school or at work. All of these buttons might send you to your back seat. And again, it's really important to share those with people you're around so they know what those buttons are, and then they can jump in and support you. Because ships don't sink because of the water around us. Ships sink because of the water that gets in them. So we want to try to not let what's happening around us get inside us and weigh us down. Sometimes it does, and that's normal. But the goal here, especially with caregiver reflection and regulation, is to understand what water might be getting inside our ship and being able to avoid that water, or at least recognize it and dump it back out again. So knowing your buttons is really important, because if you're in that emotional state and there's a button and you recognize it, it might help you move back up into that front seat where your thoughtful responses can occur. Your reflection question with this video is, what is an internal and an external button for you? If you haven't thought about that before, really take a moment and think about that. The action step is to share your buttons with a coworker or somebody in your family who might be able to step in and help when that button is being pushed. That's a big piece of knowing your buttons. Thank you so much for joining me on this video. Remember, you can go to creatingresilience.org for more information, and I hope to see you next time.